When Tokyo Revengers premiered last summer, it left a lasting impression on the shonen community. Being one of the first popular delinquent manga and anime to come out in a long time, it was a new experience to a old genre to a new age of anime fans. The action plus the capitalization and twist on a popular trope of time travel plus the level of animation the show brought was great for success and popularity, especially coming from the same studio and production team that brought us 2016 Berserk. Anyways, the anime ended up getting a lot of viewers to go to the manga. As new manga readers caught up and read arc after arc, we got to see some of the best character development in present day manga. We got to see some of the best twists and revelations in modern day shonen, and as we all caught up past the Tenjiku Arc, we realized that this series was close to being over. Well, that wasn't the case, because over the months the manga has continued, and well, since then the manga has decreased. It's ass. Yeah, let's figure out how this story went to shit. For everyone here who isn't caught up but wants to watch anyway, first of all, thank you, and I love you all. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment how you feel about Tokyo Revengers, no matter how much you've seen. And number two, let me give you a brief overview on the 200 chapters before disaster. So, from where the anime leaves off our characters, Tokyo Revengers enters the Black Dragons arc, which pits Takemichi in the crosshairs of a rival gang as a result of his friendship with one of the gang's leader's younger brother. Things transpire through one of the better told instances of domestic violence in shonen. Takemichi and Chifuyu, who learns Takemichi's secret, attempt to help their new friend and his household. We learn that on Christmas Day, the little brother of the Black Dragon's leader, also Takemichi's friend, will kill his older brother in an attempt to free their sister and himself from the violence that they've endured. We learn that this event would lead to ripples that would cause the death of Hina somehow in the future at the hands of a bolstered Toman as a result of the merger of the former Black Dragons and Toman. But after teaming up with the new head of the 6th Division, Kizaki, we are all in store for an all-out brawl for the sake of the future. This culminates in a confrontation on Christmas Day that gets messy as a result of Kizaki's direct manipulation that all leads to Mitsuya coming through and helping save the day, and the rest of Toman puts the Black Dragons out of commission forever, while seemingly leading to no deaths, and ending Christmas with the status quo. Jesus. That's a fucking lot. We have one more arc to recap before I get to slander. So we're gonna have to do a lightning round. I'm joking. Shout out Cosmonaut. So after going back to the future, Takabichi meets with Mikey, who apparently he hasn't seen in years. He meets with Mikey, and long story short, he's in a dangerous state where he's either going to be killed by Takemichi or kill Takemichi himself. Naoto comes in and kills Mikey before he even gets the chance, forcing Takemichi to go on another escapade to save his friend once again. Back in the past, Takemichi and Chifuyu are ambushed by a new gang led by Kisaki, who declares himself as their leader, who features some of the most fabled fighters in all of Japan from the fabled S62 generation. To find out who this is, Takemichi travels back to the future and comes into contact with the former leader of the Black Dragons from the previous arc. He talks to both Takemichi and Naoto in the future, providing them with the info that this new gang, Tenjiku, is led by Izuna Kurokawa. This guy is the older brother of Emma, Mikey's half-sister, and grew up envious of Mikey due to the affection that he got from Mikey's own older brother, Shin, the founder of all this gang culture and war in Tokyo currently. Eventually, of course, everyone fights. Takemichi gets a lot of development, new characters blossom, Angry and Smiley have all-star moments, and Izuna and Mikey have one of the best fights in modern shonen manga. All this concludes in the isolation and desperation of Kizaki, who was pulling the strings of it all somehow from the shadow, manipulating the emotionally unstable Izuna and losing it all in the end, as Takemichi chases his adversary down the street into a pitfall of his own death, the hands of something finally Kizaki could not control. Now this begs the question. I summarized everything up until chapter 188, and you're probably asking, okay, that all sounds good. What went wrong? Who was supposed to die? Did a scene last longer than it should have? Should someone have died off, or did someone get killed that wasn't supposed to, or did a character moment fall short? No. Everything up until this point in the story is perfectly fine, and most people don't have any qualms with this for the most part. With the development of our crybaby protagonist, the delicate yet mature handling of stories about middle school age delinquents, and the interesting spins and twists taken in a story featuring a plot device as hard and as common as time travel, Tokyo Revengers seemed like it would ride off into the sunset, becoming one of the shining examples of what a modern shonen delinquent manga could be. And then it went on. The downfall of Tokyo Revengers starts around the end of Tenjiku Arc, when Kizaki, the main antagonist, meets his end to Truck-kun. It's abrupt. It's not supposed to feel satisfying. It's supposed to show how sudden death really is sometimes. This, for some people, was the first sign of decline in the series. Now, of course, not everyone believed this. A lot of people were kind of satisfied, or at least saw the reason for them not being satisfied with its death, but for a lot of people, this was the first inkling as to the decline in this series. It's been theorized by both Takemichi and the readers that Kizaki, as a result of all his plotting, escapades, schemes, and numerous times slipping out of the hands of Toman and Takemichi, was a time leaper, similar to Takemichi, but in the last panel of dialogue, he denies this fact, but admits to somehow knowing of the supernatural elements in the Tokyo Revengers world. Until this point, the story had reached its climax, and the last thing to do was go back to the future and pick things up from there. But now, with the foreshadowing of further knowledge of the supernatural in this universe, this gave the story reason to continue, despite Takemichi saving everyone and having quelled the main protagonist. Also, after learning about Takemichi's burden and abilities of time leaping, in the past, Mikey disbanded Toman after their victory against Tenjiku and promised to meet up in 12 years on Toman's Formation Day anniversary. The beginning of the next arc, Boten, begins with a fast forward to everyone's lives. Takemichi's friends are safe and out of the gang life with their own businesses, lives, and careers, with Takemichi about to get married to Hina once and for all. Mikey is nowhere to be found, and it's later found that he succumbed to the dark side.
Oh, scary! Oh, shiver my timbers!
And has formed another gang known as Bonten, with essentially the leftovers from who Toman had defeated over the battles. So despite Mikey knowing the exact plans of Kizaki to try to distract and lead him to this horrible ending in this horrible life that he would live, despite knowing that Takemichi did everything in his power to come back and stop that, despite knowing that now everyone can live a happy life, Mikey still returns to the life of a delinquent in the end. And even worse, somehow teams up with all the people whose ass he's beaten along the way. This doesn't make any sense. The entire Tenjiku arc was about Mikey facing his past, whether it came to his sister, whether it came to the person that envied him, whether it came to the inklings of his background, and him realizing his importance in all of this, given his brother's importance in all of this, and given Toman's dominance over the past few months, and fighting this last final battle, Mikey is still somehow dragged back into this mess in the end. Granted, you could look at this as a story that's telling you that not one single person is the solution to all your problems, that there's no big fight that can end all your struggles, and as true as that may be, there are other ways to show that than fully regressing a character. And again, I understand 12 years changes a lot of people. Most people. I get that. But this is a fabricated story. There has to be an end at some point. What's even worse is the lack of common sense that is portrayed in the final arc of this series. The mangaka falls back into the pitfalls of what got this series popular in the first place. What garnered him so much attention, so many readers, so much praise, and so much claim because it was written well. It's a good formula. A lot of people accuse Tokyo Revengers of being formulaic. Every shonen's formulaic. But Tokyo Revengers, for the first 3 to 4 arcs, did have a similar formula to them. He tried to extract that and do it again after a lot of characters' arcs had already been finished, and it just doesn't work. It would have made so much more sense within the story for Takemichi to confront Mikey, realize the peril he's in, time travel, and yes, it makes sense for Mikey to also be the conduit of the time skipping because it's established earlier in the story as activated by someone with a major inclination to change the events of history. Someone like Naoto with his sister's death and a strong sense of justice, and someone like Mikey whose light inside of him flickers as soon as he sees Takemichi again, never wanting to go down the path of a criminal mastermind. Nevertheless, it makes sense for Takemichi to go back in time, talk to Mikey, and realize that, hey, I love Mikey. Mikey helped change my life. If I hadn't gone back and experienced this once again, I would have never changed, and everyone who I love's life would be hell still. But an even stronger message to portray in the manga would have been, you can't save everyone. I'm not trying to tell a professional writer how to write a story. Actually, I am. As much as Mikey means to Takemichi, as much as everyone means to him, his goal, his life, his mission, it's all complete. And for the sake of the greater whole, the entirety of what would be Toman's lives and even his own, he has to put himself first. He is not the savior of everyone's lives, and he does not have to be. It would be an amazing story to tell your audience that at the end of the day, you can't save everyone, and at some point, throwing yourself in the line of fire time and time and time again gets costly, and you should not pay that price. Leading him to return to the present day of a happy life is just simply, I don't know, moving the fuck away from Gang County in Tokyo. This is just a suggestion. Long story long, Tokyo Revengers is a story that I loved. I made a video on it. A bad video, but I made one on it. And it was a series that was primed to lead the next generation of shonen manga right next to Jujutsu Kaisen. And through a turn of events probably influenced by the newfound fame that the series garnered, in the classic case of repetitive formulas, regressive character arcs, and just not knowing when to fucking stop. That turned out to be the downfall of this great, promising, and amazing series. Thank you for watching. I hope that you all have a blessed day. Watch my podcast if you haven't watched my appearance on the Flow Anime podcast with River, where we were talking about Attack on Titan. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.